for the Timberwolves and Lakers, and if Minnesota can continue the momentum from the final 3 quarters of that game 1 when they were plus 29 and 18 of 35 from three-point range, they'll be in great shape tonight.
A deep team like this, you also have to have a coach who has the trust in the players, and I think Mark does a great job of putting trust in us and also being able to adjust on the fly.
For game 2, they'll come and they'll try to punch first, and they'll have that mindset. So.
That was Isaiah Hartenstein, who does not play for the Timberwolves or the Lakers. Maybe we'll hear from him a little later on.
The Lakers would like to have him.
They would like to have him because the Lakers are very small, and that's one of the things to talk about ahead of game 2. The number that stands out when you watched game 1 was the 21 made threes. That's a playoff franchise record for Minnesota. And for me personally, when a team shoots it that well, I kind of find it hard to evaluate the series because that's not generally sustainable.
It's not, but I think I always got to why did they get so many open threes? And the reason why is they got broken down defensively. They kept getting 2 feet in the paint, and it was kickouts where it wasn't a lot of contested threes. And that if you keep getting up wide open threes, I'm with you, Matt. I don't think they'll make 21. But if you give guys open threes, not contested, they might hit 13, 14, 15.
Right.
And they might hit them at the right time. I thought the Lakers' defense was really exposed. All these plays was guys getting into the paint, especially Anthony Edwards, being able to get 2 feet in the paint, and then they got hot. And once you get hot, guys started to fill off a rhythm, and they started to play off of we're the underdogs. That's their whole mindset right now. Anthony Edwards is doing a good job, but we're not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to win, and I think that's the theme they're going with. And they feel they can beat this Lakers team. Somehow the Lakers got to have something other than offense to tell the Timberwolves, you can't beat us. Offensively, they're great. But the rebounding, defending, transition defense, all the hustle plays, the Lakers didn't look good, in my opinion.
The underdog thing in the Western Conference, 3-6 is kind of a hard sell considering how bunched up they were in the standings. But, you play the advantages where you have them. The other thing that stood out to me from that game is Luka Doncic had 37, I think. Just 1 assist. We've seen that before in playoff series where a team decides, okay, you can score 1,000 if you can do it, but we're going to take everyone else away. How effective can that be over the course of the series?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough. I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that they made 21 threes. You can do stuff like that when you have that kind of, groove on the offensive end.
And coming off makes.
So they got to take the ball out of the net. So you got to think, you missing shots, Luka's getting those rebounds. That's when you're getting the outlets to Bron. That's when you're getting the outlets to Reeves. That's where some of the assists will start to pick back up. But, yeah, that's definitely a strategy, and you try. Luka's one of those ones. You can have all the scheme in the world, but he's still going to be able to find a way. So, I credit the assist, obviously, to Minnesota's defense, but the fact that they were making shots, too.
The question I have, Matt and Wesley, does LeBron play second option? He didn't look comfortable to me where he was playing second option. In the regular season when they were playing, I said, it was okay. They were winning some games. I think LeBron has to come out, have the basketball in his hand more, and play downhill and make things happen. I thought he said, hey, I'm going to let Luka do it today. But if you go down 0-2 in L.A., not doing it your way, he's going to start kicking himself. I think he has to come out and be more aggressive and set the tone and maybe let Luka finish.
And I agree with that, too. But at the same time, it's like, who's expecting Minnesota to go 21 made threes? You know what I mean? So it's like he's been kind of doing that, trying to fill out, let Luka kind of dominate that first quarter like he's been doing since he's got there and then have some in the tank. He just didn't. Game wasn't close enough to keep it in the tank, when, you're getting barraged with threes. So I think he definitely does take that step. But, that's Brian. They're not going to panic.
The reason why is, we know first option who is an Anthony Edwards and second option, Anthony Edwards. Who's that guy for the Lakers at the end of the game? Who's that guy? I don't think they figured it out. They haven't had enough playoff intensity games to figure that out. I think they've had it in the regular season. It's going to be interesting. I think also Austin Reeves being able to understand if you're not making shots, you got to make plays for somebody else. They haven't had adversity, so I'm interested to see what happens at the beginning of this game.
Interesting questions, because clearly with Luka's arrival, he's going to be the high usage rate guy with the ball in his hands moving forward, but this is about right now and this series. More coming up.
Last year and then this now. There's a lot of hate there. And it just makes for a better basketball series, right? He did talk about the competition. There's a lot of alpha dogs here on the court. Rick Carlisle did mention, though, that, hey, listen, we don't know what we're going to get from Damian Lillard, but we do know when he's on the court, he enhances his team, so they're ready for it.
I think both teams are still angry about the game ball controversy from last year. There's been a lot brewing between these two. Nabil Querim with us from Indianapolis ahead of Game 2 tonight. Appreciate it. Guys, obviously, you'd rather have Dame Lillard in the lineup than not, but returning now with what's at stake tonight is a little suboptimal, right, for a guy who's been out for more than a month?
I mean, it's tough because there's nothing like game reps. Like you heard him say there was 3-on-3, working with some of the G League guys, working with some of the managers, staff. And I know they're going hard. I've trained with those guys, worked with those guys, so I know they're going hard. But then there's also nothing like playoff reps. And then you triple down on that. There's nothing like playoff reps against the Indiana Pacers, who play like their name, play with a lot of pace. So, being able to stay in front and still be effective on the offensive side, like where are your legs and where's your mental? Like this isn't a situation where it's a calf strain and you're coming back. Like this was blood clot. This was scary. I mean, by all means, everybody's excited and happy that he's healthy and able to play. But, I can't imagine what that's feeling like.
Well, we should emphasize that point. The diagnosis was deep vein thrombosis. That's the same diagnosis that shut down Victor Wembanyama for the season months ago. And as you heard Nabil reference, Doc Rivers thought potentially career-ending for Damian Lillard. Tonight, you're trying to win a playoff game, first and foremost. You also have to try to figure out a way to integrate Damian Lillard and see what he's capable of tonight. How do you balance those two?
Matt, you said it. I think I'm going to start to speak from the players' point of view. When you say career ending, that's got to be mentally. We've all been through some injuries, like you said, calf, even ACL, something that tough. And when do you come back? But when you have something where they say it's possibly career ending, and now you get a chance to play the game again, is how much is he going to be free? How much is he going to be playing, all out? And I think, it comes down to his conditioning, mental conditioning, for real. And I think he definitely has to have a situation where he has to trust Doc Rivers. He has to trust himself to say, I have to come out of the game. But if you're the Pacers, you know this. I'm going at him. I'm going to test him right away.
Absolutely.
And to see where he's at condition-wise and see where he can do. We're going to push the pace. We're going to keep him picking rolls. We're going to see where he's at mentally. But then also sometimes you can wake up a guy who's done this for a long time, and he's a mental tough guy. And he did train with David Goggins this summer, so I'm looking forward to seeing his mental toughness.
It's a time-honored tradition in the NBA. When a player comes back from injury, you figure out what he can do, right? You're going to test it, whatever that might be. There are other issues for Milwaukee that are solvable with or without Damian Lillard at his best. One of them is shooting the basketball. They were the best three-point shooting team in the NBA this season. Game 1, just 9 of 37, and the starters, 1 of 11. They could even up this series simply by hitting a few shots in the first half.
Playing better. I mean, the one guy we're going to highlight is Kyle Kuzma, but I really want to go to some other guys who've been there. Brook Lopez, got to play better. Bobby Porter's got to play better. Those are veterans who've been there, and Kyle Kuzma, you can't have zeros. There's no way you play in a game that many you have. Not just 0 points and rebounds, Matt. I got to have a turnover. I got to have fouls. I got to have something where Kyle Kuzma has to be more aggressive. And you can see right now, I hope he doesn't come out pressing. But sometimes you come out now and all eyes on you. You still got to play within the flow.
Somehow he even missed both his free throw attempts.
He did.
He did. I mean, it's
one
remarkable how many zeros there were in 21 minutes of game action. What else is on the to-do list tonight for the Bucks?
I mean, for Milwaukee, for me, they're not going to shoot like that again. You can't think that they're going to go in and shoot like that again. What I would like to see is when you see Indiana play and they're playing in pick and roll, when they get the switch, they get good screens, the bigs are getting to the basket. They're putting pressure on the rim. Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, guys like that, go ahead and put pressure on the rim. Make this a physical game. Brook, you're the biggest player out there. Being able to utilize him to alleviate some of that stress, the double teams. Giannis can dump it high-low, situations like that. But then the other guys, the Taurean Prince, the Gary Trent, Kuzma, all these guys, you almost have to, there's a chemistry with playing with a lot of great players. And you guys got to find yourselves within the game where, you kind of got a telepathy type thing. Like me and Nick Batum used to have that where he knew where I was going to be. I knew where he was going to be. Nick got an offensive rebound. I was going to space out. These guys have done this all year. They've been in big moments. They've been in big games. And that's what I'm expecting and wanting to see from them.
Game 1 was not close. Pacers led by as many as 28. They shot about 52% from the field. What can they build on to take a 2-0 lead tonight?
Keep playing with pace. I mean, they had to continue to keep playing the pace. Obviously test Dame, continue to get into the paint. what Indiana does a lot is they come off.
Cắt đi. Đây, được cái hình như này. Bây giờ mình sẽ móc tiếp cái phần trang trí tiếp. Mình sẽ sử dụng cái màu tím nhé mọi người. Mình sẽ dùng cái màu len tím này để làm. Mình gỡ len ra. Bây giờ sẽ tiến hành móc nhé. Móc một cái hình tròn. Đây, móc vào đây. Mọi người cứ móc lần lượt từng mũi cho đến khi được hình tròn nhé. Rồi, móc tiếp xuống. Rồi, móc tiếp xuống nữa. Đấy, cứ lần lượt từng mũi này là được. Mình móc cho đến khi được hình tròn thì dừng lại nhé. Tiếp tục móc xuống nha mọi người. Cứ luân phiên từng mũi một. Mũi tiếp theo. Mũi nữa này. Mọi người cứ móc lần lượt từng mũi cho mình. Mũi nữa. Tiếp tục móc. Rồi bây giờ sẽ nối vào đây và siết dây nhé. Mình nối vào mình siết dây. Được một cái hình tròn màu tím như này nhé. Bây giờ sẽ móc cái phần tiếp theo. Mình sử dụng cái phần len màu trắng này. Mình móc vòng quanh nhé.